This presentation is to look at the relationships between gender and video games. In 1972, Atari came out with the first video game known as Pong, seen in this slide here, and now we have Xbox and the Cube and Sony PlayStation 2, which is the video game system that I worked with. And the graphics are incredible, and you're right there, and it's three-dimensional, and it's all in color. And I played Pong when I was a kid, and it's nothing like what we have today. I chose to play Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick with my neighbor and friend Ted, who is an avid PlayStation 2 fan. This video game is based on the 1981 classic zombie horror film where zombies attack teenagers staying in a cabin for the weekend. The protagonist, Ash, uses a variety of weapons to fight these zombies, or deadites. In the video game version of the movie, you get to play Ash using a chainsaw, dynamite, a shovel, a handgun, or a boomstick, which is a sawed-off shotgun, and a Gatling gun. There are virtually no women in this game, except for some of the zombies, one named Cheryl, and there's a horrible picture of a woman being raped by vines. There's a link between violence and boys are often encouraged to like violence and girls are discouraged to like violence, but I think that girls know that they're often the victim of violence and therefore they're not really interested in pursuing it, because when you're the victim of violence, as the woman is being raped by vines, it turns out to not be so much fun. The goal of the game, of course, is to kill the zombies with the weapons at hand in the allotted time frame without running out of bullets. Some of the statistics I found on gender in video games were fascinating. One figure stated, the average age of a purchaser of Xbox or PlayStation 2 or the Cube is 35 and has been playing for 13 years. It didn't state whether or not these were parents or they were buying the games for their own personal use. I imagine if they've been playing them for 13 years, it was their own personal use. And compared to the 1980s, when 82% of people who played video games and video arcades were male, currently it's 60% of video game players are male, which I found surprising because I thought it would be much higher than that. So that seems like it's balancing out. There was also a study linking the violence and desensitization of video games to actual violence and street crime. Here's a statistic showing the relationships between violent video game playing and heart rates and galvanic skin response, which measures arousal through measuring sweat. You can see there's a marked difference in the desensitization that occurs through only 20 minutes of video gaming. I also found an interesting article on the relationship between males being more inclined towards video games and therefore more adept at computers and therefore more likely to get jobs in the future because so many jobs are dependent around computers. This study shows males are marketed to for video games more than females, though there are some companies marketing exclusively to females, or like Sega, including females in their designing and marketing of games. Then there was the Barbie phenomenon. When Barbie Fashion Designer, a video game, was released, it made $500,000 in 1 year, which drew the attention of the gaming industry back to females, although the games that they made for females were things like Barbie Fashion Designer and not things to, develop us into better human beings. There are also close ties with the military in video games. The military is also primarily male, and marketing to males for recruitment. The military actually uses the game Doom for training purposes, and American taxpayers spent $33 million on developing the recruitment video game America's Army. Video games are a huge industry that makes $910 billion annually, including gaming software. So they're going to design games that will appeal to the most basic instinct of the easiest population to target, which historically has been young males. Killing and maiming, body parts flying, blood splatters in the wall from shotguns are designed to appeal to males, especially young males, teenage males. Males tend to be more visually oriented according to research, and more interested in killing zombies or blowing things up than females are. However, this may be more of a product of our culture, which reinforces violence and dominance in males and passivity and politeness in females. I found myself, after spending the evening with my neighbor and friend Ted playing this game, getting bored after about half an hour into it, and my thumb started hurting after about an hour into it. And I started thinking, at first it was very exciting and I was engaged and I really wanted to master it, and then I found myself thinking about all of the other things that I could be doing, as opposed to playing this game with my friend and neighbor Ted. And I thought about all the energy and time it takes for other people to manufacture, design, sell, market these games. But in the end, I digress, and I had a great night playing this game and bonding over killing zombies in front of the glowing light of the television, like so many campfires people have gathered around in the past.